love, the new paradigm. It's something I've kind of talked about quite a bit. It's what all my talks are basically referring to, which is let's start shifting over to a new paradigm. Why a paradigm? Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. First off, as I said, this is my first talk. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. I am going to be hopefully here for every single week and keep it so intriguing that you're just going to want to come back for more. I'm recording it, so it's going to be on YouTube. I will send you guys links so that you can access it. It will always be there. You'll be able to access that and pass it on to anybody that you think might be interested. And like I said, if there are any technical issues, if there are any glitches, let me know because I'm learning. And if you've got any feedback or anything like that, please do give me a shout. You are on mute. So like I said, you won't be able to say much now because now I've put everybody onto mute. Please do, though, in the chat bit that you've got to the right, which I can't keep an eye on because there's only me at the moment. And obviously, as being my first one, multitasking is going to be a little bit difficult. So just pop what you need to in the chat. I'm going to be asking questions, have a bit of a reflection, do what you've got to do, and it will be available. Remember, it's going to be shared throughout the whole group. So just keep an eye on that. If you want to put something in there that's personal, you probably don't want to. Initially, like I said, 30 minutes around about, I'm looking at to 45. I would like to get these talks moving into an hour. Why? Because I'm going to be adding people that would like to have a chat and share their stories, people that have got experiences, people that have found certain parts of whatever it is going on in their existence quite useful to be able to share, especially in terms of love, especially in terms of fear, especially in terms of ego. And then what I will also do is have Q&A at the end of the talk. It's not going to be live Q&A at the moment. It's just going to be Q&A that people have sent in, questions that they've got either from the talks that I've done or just questions that keep coming in anyway. So I've got a couple today that I'll be sharing. So that'll be good. And that's kind of how we're getting on. So yeah, let's get going. For those of you who know some bits about me, sorry, I'm going to repeat myself, but for those who don't, then look, why are you here? You're here because I am an accredited psychotherapist, have been accredited for 15 years. So if anything about anything I say offends you, you can actually complain about me to somebody that's going to care. So that's always nice to know, isn't it? Somebody's going to be listening. Although Trustpilot might not have me, the counselling society, psychotherapy and counselling society, they're going to take it seriously. So I've got 15 years of experience, and in that 15 years, I've done over 2,000 hours of therapeutic practice with clients. So there's quite a lot of mistakes that I can share that I've made, reflections that my beautiful, amazing clients have come in and shared with me, and also tons and tons of stuff that I've become aware of over the last sort of 15 years in terms of psychology, in terms of awareness, in terms of reflection, in terms of goals, in terms of just everything it is that life has to offer us and give us. So what the main part of these talks is going to be about is the framework that I've developed. And I've spent a lot of time doing this, and now I'm ready to start getting it out there and share it, and really make quite a big deal of it, really. So you guys are going to be here as I begin this journey, which is lovely, actually. And thank you, like I said, for joining me. I really do hope that you're gonna really enjoy these chats every week. I'll make them as interesting as possible. And obviously, if nothing else, I can crack a joke here or two. So it's nice for a Sunday morning, isn't it? Also, what I would like to do is start to build a community that is about people that share quite similar values, about people that want to be able to use what it is that you're learning to start navigating through life. I'd like you guys to share this as well with friends, family, people that you love, because the insights that you're now going to get and some of the things that I've got here, I promise you, they not only work, they can really transform. And that's what I want to talk about, really, is how transforming this all is. So love a new paradigm. I mean, first off, what is a paradigm? See, this, honestly, you guys really, really want to enjoy this presentation because you're not going to get another one because this took me flicking ages. It really did. But hold on. I think somebody's come in here. Suggestions, put your hand down. There we go. Okay. All right. So what is a paradigm? That's a good question, isn't it? In a nutshell, it's a way of seeing the world. So we are all living within a paradigm. And this is like a mental lens, a framework, or a belief system that shapes how we think, feel, an act. So this is really interesting, right? Because we don't think about it. Sorry, the G-Man is my chat GTP, who I'm really, really good friends with. So the G-Man basically put that into a nutshell for me, which is we are living by and utilizing a framework for every single aspect of our existence all of the time. The question is, how aware are you of the paradigm it is that you're using? And also, how conditioned or how influenced are you by other people's paradigms and other people's way of being? And this is something that we really need to start to get comfortable understanding, because I would like you to start to be more conscious of what it is that you are using to dictate how you make your decisions, to dictate what it is that you think and how you have the conversations that you do. So this is interesting. So now when it comes to that, I then go, well, if this is the new paradigm that I'm talking about, well, what's the old one? So obviously the paradigm that we're currently living in is the paradigm of fear. And how do we know that? Because we are living in a system and we are governed, quite a lot of us, predominantly by thoughts that are motivated by fear, right? And how do we know that? Well, that's easy, isn't it? Because, well, you get up and you go to work. Why? Because you're scared that you're not going to be able to pay your bills if you're not earning enough money. So understandably, that is fear-based. How else do we know we're living in a paradigm of fear? Because the ego comes out every time something is said or somebody needs to start to think about something and it starts to worry. The ego is driven by fear, greed, power, and desire. And so when we're using, or when we are in a paradigm of fear, these are the things that are actually governing and navigating what decisions we make. So that's, and then the system that we actually live in outside of us, and politics, law, and everything else that we've got that's governing us is governed by fear, the fear of. So, you know, it is a paradigm that we're all living in. We're not choosing it. It has been chosen by us. We've moved into it. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's just how energy works. We spiral in and we spiral back out. We are now all the way into fear. And now what we need to do is come back out into love. And this is why the old paradigm is the paradigm of fear. And the new paradigm is obviously what? I think that's quite obvious, because I think this little brown rope tells you really, doesn't it? This is the paradigm of love. So, and that's lovely. But, you know, what worries me is we talk about love a lot. Yeah, loads. We talk about love so much, it's unbelievable. But how much of us actually know how to practice love? You know, there are 8.16 billion people in the world, and I think they've all got a different interpretation of love. So now you go, but then what is love? And this is why I started to realize through the practice of work, through working and talking to people, through listening to experiences, is that everybody's got an absolutely, like, interestingly different narrative to what love is. And because of that, everybody then starts to do things very differently. And then things that end up actually being quite harmful are done and said in the name of love, which, you know, it's a little bit worrying, isn't it? So one of the questions I'd ask you is, what is the meaning of love for you? And it's something I really want you to start asking yourself and thinking about. What is love for you? What does it mean? If you had to use 3 words that you would to describe what love was, what would they be? Pop them in the chat, please, because I'd love to know. Because this is already going to get you going on understanding, actually, what is it when I talk about being in love? What is it that I talk about saying I do love? What is it that I am? Connection. I like that. What is it that I am talking about when it comes to, like, I don't know, doing something from love, for love? If you've got children, what's governing you if you've got children? Did you know that most people that have children are actually using fear to govern how it is that they speak to their kids? They're using fear on how it is that they would like to make decisions in terms of their children. And they're using fear for pretty much most things with their kids. And there you are. You love your kids so much, but yet when you're making the decisions that you're making, when you're saying the things that you're saying to your children, they're actually coming from a really fearful place. And again, it's not your fault. You don't need to sit there and judge that. But what we do really need to start doing is understanding that what is it that is driving what I'm doing. I know I love my children very, very much. My God, I know how much you guys love your children so much. But what's happening is your immense love for them is scaring the absolute crap out of you. And then what you're doing is you're using fear to talk to them. You're using fear to navigate how you're dealing with them. What they then do is they go, oh, love means get scared and use fear to then make decisions and do what it is you've got to do. So then your children are now learning this, and they're going off and they're going and using it on themselves. They're going off and doing these things, thinking this is the way to go. So I think what's really, really important is that you guys genuinely start to ask yourself from a completely non-egoic place, okay? Really, really important. You do not use ego to make any kind of judgment on anything it is that you hear, anything it is that you learn, or anything it is that you understand. Why? Because again, fear will then take over. So now I've just said what I've said about you, if you're a parent and your children, and you might go, oh, shit. Like, that's what I do. And then you start getting really, really stressed out. No, okay, you don't. What you do is you go, well, what love does is love goes, God, that's so interesting. And that's it. Because that's what it is. It's interesting. You don't need to get upset about it. You don't need to feel guilty about it. You don't need to feel bad about it. You just need to go, well, that's interesting. Why? Because love is present. But anyway, I'm going to go into all of this much later. Obviously, I've got to make sure you guys keep coming back. So I've got to keep leaving little like things that I can't tell you today, but I'll tell you next week. EastEnders, isn't it? Yeah, I'll do like EastEnders moments where I'll be like, oh. So yeah, that will be next session. So what is the meaning of love for you? Thank you for what you guys have been sharing. Actually, that's really great. I don't know if it comes on the screen, so I'm not going to keep putting it up. But the next question is love a feeling? Is it a skill, or is it a way of being? What do you think? Please, again, in the comments, what do you think love is? Is it a feeling? Is it just something you walk around going, I love, and here I am in the feeling of love, and that's it? Is it something you have to learn, and a skill that you go off and acquire, and then once you've acquired it, you go, well, that's it. Well, I've learned that. A bit like, I don't know, the piano or something, and now I've mastered that, so that's it. I can play the piano. I'm done. Or is it a way of being? And if it is a way of being, I mean, what does that even mean? Love is a way of being, and what? If I am being love, am I just now being love when I'm walking around doing what I'm doing? I don't know. What do you think? I mean, these are all, again, questions I genuinely, desperately need you to ask yourself. Why? Because we are moving from a paradigm which is a very, very old, very, very archaic way of being, because we are no longer needing to survive when it comes to a lion coming and eating you. Okay, that's what I call innate fear. Innate fear is, shit, there's a lion, fuck, I better run, and you need to be scared. Please be scared, because otherwise it will eat you. And as much as I know the lion does need to be fed, I'd prefer it didn't eat you, but not now anyway. But that's innate fear. Egoic fear is the fear of something that may or may not happen. And it's that fear that's genuinely governing most of the things that we're doing. And that's really scary, because your nervous system genuinely feels like it's going to get eaten by a lion every time something does or does not happen. Every time you receive that phone call or you don't, every time that particular thing happens, I don't know, at school with your children, or every time you have a discussion at work with your boss, or when you're talking to a friend and something does or does not happen, your nervous system is kicking off as if there's a lion about to eat you. And that's really worrying, because that's what the paradigm of love has done to us now. Why? Because there aren't any lions that are going to eat you. And so it's kind of going, well, maybe there must be something else that's going to eat me. So let me just figure that one out. And that's what fear does. It goes, we must survive. We must survive. And it's like, yeah, but we're living in a different way of being now. We're living in a different world. We're not in a cave. We don't have to worry about rummaging and foraging for our food every single day. And actually the things that we now do need to worry about, they're quite different. I'm not saying that a lot of us are not surviving. Do you know what? A lot of us are hand to mouth surviving, trying to get through life. But again, fear is not going to get you to the place it is that you genuinely want to go. You guys are all here because you've got You've got goals. You've got, I don't know, dreams. You've got aspirations. You've got things that you would like to achieve. You've got ways that you would like to be or have or express, and you guys are all here for that. So the way that you're going to get there is through understanding that you're going to shift the way that you do things and the way that you think. So what is love? Love is, I know, isn't that lovely? I was doing this last night, guys. Okay, just so you know, 1 o'clock in the morning. That's right. Yeah, so enjoy it. You're not going to get many more slides, so enjoy it. Love is an activity. It is. You can't just go, oh, I love, and then go, well, that's it, I'm done. It's an activity, and it's a little bit like a garden. Yeah, love is like a garden. I know I sound like something out of one of them books, but no, it really is. What do you want from your garden? And this is the thing. We cannot all go around with the same narrative of what love is. Why? Because actually, what you want to do with the energy of love is going to be then how you want to deal with it. What we all tend to do in the collective at the moment is we have a generalization and we go, this is it, and this is what you've got to do. No, that's not true, actually. The ego wants that. Why? Because the ego wants to categorize everything, put it in nice little pigeonholes and boxes and stuff like that. No. You need to start asking yourself, what do you want? How do you feel? And how is it that you want to get there? And I tell you what, as much as I'm talking about love here, you can use fear to do that. And actually, that's okay too, because that's what love says. Love says it's okay to use fear. Love says everything is a choice. So this is the beauty. There is no right and wrong. There is no good or bad. There's no right way, wrong way, only way. There is a way. And this is what love says. Love goes, there's a way. And then there's another way. And then there's another one. There's a million others. Just choose. So love is like a garden. What do you want from your garden? Imagine you've bought whatever it is you've bought, your house, your whatever, your bungalow, your, I don't know, attic. You've got a garden, okay? Now, what do you want to do with it? How much energy and time are you willing to invest in it? And that will determine, are you going to pave it? Are you going to just slam concrete in there? Are you going to have little pot plants and that's about as far as you're going to go? Or are you going to have nothing? Do you want no greenery in it whatsoever? Or do you want, I don't know, a bloody water slide? Whatever it is you want in your garden, great. But you do that according to then the consequences of what that will be, the energy and the time that you then want to invest. If I pave it, great. Barely any energy. Well, pointing maybe if you don't get somebody decent to point it, which I'm learning from my garden, but I think that's a different group. I think that's Wednesdays when we can talk about the pointing in our garden. But yeah, you really need to start asking yourself, what do I want? Because whatever it is I want, it will take that amount of time and it will take that amount of energy and that amount of investment. And I'm going to hit you with something quite interesting at the end of this. So if you are falling asleep, you've got about 5 minutes before I need you to get back up again so that you can hear the most interesting part. But you've now got your garden. You've got to understand and ask yourself, what's the purpose of my garden? So imagine you've moved into this place. You've got a garden. You've gone, well, what do I want to do? How much energy? But now you've got to ask yourself, what is the point of this garden? Is it for aesthetics? Is it because I want barbecues? Do you want to invite friends around every single week and have a barbecue? And if you do, well, then, I don't know, how much soil needs to be in your garden versus how much tarmac versus how many, I don't know, paving versus your pointing needs to be sorted. What do you want? Is it for barbecues? Is it for growing vegetables? Is it an allotment type of space? Is it for your children to play? Is it for them to play and then, I don't know, you're going to have barbecues as well? Oh, then you've got to think about safety. Is it that you want your children to play and you want a little like cabbage patch over there and then you need to kind of, I don't know, cordon off your cabbage patch? What do you want? Do you want a water slide in there? Do you want a, I don't know, entire water park in there? If you do, then the chlorine will probably mess up the soil. So just to be wary, these are all the things that you've got to think about. But whatever it is you want from your garden, you have to choose quite early on and then start to go, right, this is what I want to do. Why? Because what we tend to then do is we tend to get this garden and then we go, oh, I don't understand. Look at the state of it. And look at the pointing, look at this, look at that. Oh, I wanted to grow tomatoes, but there's just too much paving. And you're like, yeah, but what do you actually want? And this is what we're doing from relationships. We're actually going in having no freaking idea about what we want. And then when we don't get what we didn't even know that we wanted, we're getting quite upset about it, which I think is really quite interesting. Again, so, love is an activity like a garden. And you ask yourself, well, what's the whole point of my garden? And it's your garden. It's not anybody else's. So don't let anybody tell you what it is that you need to be doing in your garden. Why? Because they could turn around and go, oh my God, you know, grow your cucumbers. My mum does. She grows amazing stuff in her garden. Freaking hell. But she's retired. And of course she can. Anyway, she's good at it. She's got green fingers. Anything I try and grow, it dies. But that's not because I can't love. That's just because I'm not very good at I don't know, green stuff. So yeah, don't let anybody else tell you what you need to do in that garden. Why? Because you're the one that's going to have to maintain it. Okay. But whatever you want back. So my mum cooks with this amazing stuff that she like grows in her garden, and it's freaking lovely. And I get to eat around there every Friday and I enjoy it so very much. She'll then say to me, you love those tomatoes. You love that so much. Why are you not growing it? Because I don't have the energy and I don't have the time. I could try and I will probably fail, not because I am a failure, but because I don't have that energy and time to invest in it. Now, the next thing, let's say I do want to grow stuff. Well, then I've got to build knowledge on that. Okay, so love is an activity. Love is quite a big activity, guys. Okay, because knowledge is, as we know, as the G-man quite rightly says, knowledge is unlimited, infinite. Now you can access knowledge from everywhere in the freaking world, from everywhere, from anywhere, and you've got knowledge from all sorts of cultures and all sorts of countries. And so now you can build this knowledge, which is endless. And you've got to build knowledge. Why? Because only then can you genuinely respond to the needs of your garden. If you don't build knowledge, then how do you respond to what that garden needs? And then when your tomatoes are dying, or when your cucumbers are a bit soggy, or when your, I don't know, whatever else it is, strawberries, are infested with, I don't know, things that strawberries are not supposed to be infested with, well, how are you going to do anything about that? You can't get upset. Well, you can, but you can get upset. But then, well, what did you do about that? And this is what love does. Love is an energy, and it's a very active one, and it's constantly pursuing this. And in order to, like I said, be in a loving energy, you have to build tons of knowledge, actually, tons of data, not to use it to bash somebody on the head with, but to use it to be able to do the thing that love does, which is it can respond to needs. That's the energy of love. Fear reacts. Love proactively manages. It's a beautiful thing, guys, like really an absolutely beautiful thing. And as you start to learn the nuances of love, you realize, freaking hell, you realize what you've been missing out on. But anyway, once you've decided what you want from your garden, you must begin to respond to its various needs. This is what love is. It's an activity, and it's designed, well, it's there for you to first off ask yourself, what do I want from this? Yeah. The first thing that I want you guys to really understand, though, that love is not about someone else. You can never, ever truly learn how to love anything in a healthy way until you have learned how to love yourself in a healthy way. Okay. And this is the next thing I need you guys to understand. When I talk about love, you don't walk around going, what do I need to do for my, I don't know, beautiful whoever? What do I need to do for my child? What do I need to do for my partner, for my mother, for my siblings, for my friends, for my whoever? Love is not about them first and foremost. Love is about you. Did you know that if everybody just turned around and started to do this, what I am going to be talking about for the rest of however long, if they just started to do this with themselves first, overnight, the world would change. It would transform. Why? Because all of a sudden, every single one of us is responding to our needs. What does that mean? We're no longer needing to inflict ourselves onto another. And that's what fear does, by the way. You end up inflicting yourself onto the other person because you are so busy giving away all of your loving energy to everyone else that you've got none left for you. And you don't even know how to, so you're scared. So you then go, well, I don't know how to love me. So you love me because I'm loving you. It doesn't work that way. Love doesn't work that way. Love says I am responsible for me first, and I'm responsible for loving me first. And actually, if I cannot love me in a healthy way, I can never truly love any other in a healthy way. And that Eric Fromm, who is a psychoanalyst who wrote the most amazing book, which you'll be hearing about, that I will talk about, written in 1953, The Art of Loving. That's one of the first things he kind of highlights, you know, and that's actually something that goes down through cultures and through our genetics and through time. I mean, really, you've got to look at you and your relationship with you before you can look at anything else. Why? Because everything inside of you, is projected outside. So everything you see outside of you is only but a projection of that within you. You want to see more love out there? There needs to be more love in here. And I don't say that in a fluffy spiritual way. I say that in a really, really psychological, scientific, quantum mechanics, really non-fluffy kind of way. So it's important that you guys understand that about what we're talking about here. When I talk about love, I'm not talking about you going around loving the rest of the world. Yes, that is really important, but not until you've learned to love yourself first in a healthy way. And if you don't know how to do that, then please understand, when you're just giving it out to everybody else, you're doing that because you're avoiding the one thing that you know you actually really need to do, which is you. And because you're scared or because you don't know how to, you're giving it to somebody else. Why? In the hope that they can then give it to you. No, that's not their responsibility. It's yours. Just like for them, it's not your responsibility. It's theirs. And this is what we all have to now learn. And this is the paradigm, and this is the framework that I am here to share with you throughout the coming years, hopefully. Anyway, love is not only something you feel, it is something you do. And you must be doing love for you first. Now, we talk about feelings all the time, but what nobody really talks about, well, they are now actually, there's a lot more out there, social media, there's a lot more out there in terms of discussions, but what we really need to do is understand that love is an energy. Okay. And this is the bottom line. It's not this elusive thing. It's not like, oh my God, we've got poems written about it. We've got songs. We've got this. We've got that. Love is an energy. Okay. And energy has frequencies. So you've got a line like this. Above the line, love. Below the line, fear. Okay. That's all you want to learn is when I am resonating, because a feeling is simply that. A feeling is me. My cells, trillion times a trillion cells in my body, they're all vibrating, and they're all vibrating all of the time, because that's what we are. We're a trillion times a trillion cells that are like that. And as they go together, we look like we are solid when technically we're not, but technically we are. So no jumping off of things. Because Yazz said you're not solid. Don't do that. Anyway, I've got insurance. So vibrating together, and that vibration is either fast and high or low and slow. And when it's low and slow, it's a fear-based energy, which is not good and it's not bad. It just is, okay? So when it's low and slow, it's below the line, fear-based. And when it's high, it's love-based. And it's then doing that, and you're shifting higher. And the highest you can go is passion. Passion is love and excitement in one. And this is something that I here am sharing with you, is my passion. This is something I am so passionate about that it's unbelievable. I'm so passionate that I could talk about this all day and all night, as most people who know me and have worked with me already know, is that I can really talk about this. So this is what I'm passionate about. This is why I'm sharing it. And this is what I want you guys to think about. What are you passionate about? What is it that really makes you vibrate higher? Now, if love is an energy, then what you've got to understand is every single thought that you are having, every single thought you are having is producing energy. Did you know in Western society, we are having approximately 250,000, the average anxious person, 250,000 to 300,000 thoughts a day. Did you know you can power an entire village somewhere out in the middle of nowhere for probably a month with the amount of thoughts that you were having in one day? Now look at that. That's a lot of energy, guys. Okay. So at least if you can do something with it, maybe we do need to think about like passing it on over to, like, you know, places that need it, because God, that's a lot of energy. And I want you to start to ask yourself, but how many thoughts am I having? Am I even aware of them? And I'm not walking around saying to you, think about every single thought you have, but every time you have a shift in energy, that's a thought driving that. Well, what are you thinking? How many times do you ask yourself that? But well, what am I thinking right now? And also, who are you bloody talking to? Not me right now. I mean, when you're talking in your head. Sorry, I know that came across a bit like, no, who you're talking to, like in here, you're having a conversation. Well, who are you having that conversation with? Understand that. And these are the things that love starts to get you to do. What it does is it gets you to start to become the observer. What it does, it gets you to start to take a step back. What it does is it gets you to start to be more present. Again, something we're not doing. So every thought you have is producing energy. This energy is affecting how you speak and interact, not only with others, but also yourself. And like I said, if you cannot do all of this for yourself first in a healthy way, forget everybody else. It's pointless, because if the narrative in your head is not balanced and it's not motivated by love, then that narrative out there, it's really like quite a half-hearted, half-cocked narrative, really, isn't it? And you don't want that. What you want is you is the one person you cannot get away from for the rest of your life. And so that's the relationship you need to focus on. That's actually the most important relationship you will ever have. Also, that's the relationship that when you start to be able to influence it in a healthy way, it will get you everything it is that your heart has ever truly desired. So imagine that. Imagine I said to you, there's one relationship there that if you give all of your time and effort to, it will actually yield you everything it is that your heart truly desires. Exactly. There's no need, there's no excuse. Anyway, we've got love is energy, love are thoughts. Let's look at this. Feelings. Each feeling we have, okay, felt when there is a shift in frequency. So every feeling you have, as I just talked about in terms of energy, is a shift, okay, in the frequency of what's going on in the cells in your body. That's what a feeling is. And actually, bottom line, no feeling is good and no feeling is bad. And this is the whole point. Fear determines that when you're sad, you're depressed. People keep using this, right? You're not depressed, you're sad. Can we just get like, when I'm sad, I'm sad. Can we stop saying I'm depressed? Depression is very different. When I'm sad, and also depressed is when you depress feelings. But when you're sad, say it, I'm sad. And then you know what I want you to go? Oh, okay. Why does it have to be a big deal? And this is another thing that fear does. Fear goes, oh my God, you're sad. Shit. Go for a run. Eat cake. Have a drink. Talk to a friend. Phone a friend. Put a podcast on. Listen to Yazz. Listen to Yazz. That one you can do each and every time. Listen to Yazz. I'm sad. I don't know. Hide. No. You're sad. Feel it. It's okay. It's an energy. And energy just wants to be acknowledged. Acknowledge it. And then let it do what it's doing. What we do is we sit here and just go, oh my God, what? Oh my God, why? Oh my God, what is that? I need to make it go away. Why? Anyway, sorry, I digress. And if you know me well enough, you'll know that I digress. This is why I needed slides to try and keep me on the straight and narrow. So you've then got all of these thoughts and feelings are now driving and determining the conversations that you're having. Not only with yourself, but with everyone else. Not only with everyone else, but with yourself. So what are you thinking? What are you feeling? Because that is having a massive impact on how you are talking to yourself and how you are having conversations and interactions with others. So when some people say to me, I find it difficult being boundaried. Well, what kinds of conversations are going on in your head? What kinds of thoughts are you having? What kinds of feelings are you having? That will actually already give you the ability to understand why you find it difficult to be boundaried, whether that be in conversations or whether that be just in relationships in general. These are the things that you need to look at. Now, once you've got your thoughts and you've got your feelings and you've got your conversations, what happens? Everything it is that you do out there in the world is governed by those things, the energy of each of these things. So now you know that if you are wanting to change a behavior of yours, if you are wanting to understand a behavior of yours, if you are wanting to influence it in any way, or just get to understand it and understand yourself better, then realize these are the things that are playing a massive part in what it is that's going on in your world. And if we're looking at shifting a paradigm, then you've got to understand the nuances of love and the nuances of fear based on the thoughts that you have, based on the feelings that you have, based on the conversations that you are having, and based on the behaviors that you've then got going on outside and inside. Listen, we're having, some of you may have seen my videos, transaction analysis. We're having conversations and transactions with ourselves all day long. These are impacting you all day long. Now, I did say that I would be adding in stories of people that you know are interested in sharing. So please do let me know if anything comes up for you in any of these chats. If any questions come up, give me a shout, drop me a message. I will be including them in here. So I'll get those answered for you, because I'm hoping that whatever it is that I talk about in here gets your little brain cells going. And I really want you to reflect, and I want you to ask as many questions as you need to. A million questions is better than leaving the one out that actually would have made the biggest difference in your existence. So I've had a couple of questions come to me as I start to sort of roll down. I don't know how long we've just done this for, but like I said, I reckon 35 to 40 minutes. Yeah, okay. Doing all right for time. actually 41. I was always going to go over. So one of the questions that's come in is this one. If love isn't about control or power, then how do we set boundaries without losing the connection? That was a wicked question. So thank you for that one, Louise. Love isn't about control. No, you would never, ever, ever, ever control anything or need to have the power over anything when you're using the energy of love. So how is it that you are boundaried when using love without completely cutting yourself off? Easy. You have respect. Okay. So one of the things I will be talking about, again, my little EastEnders come back next week or the week after, and I'll tell you about it. But one of the aspects of love is respect. What is respect? Respect is not what you hear society talking about out there. You know, respect me because no. Respect is simply this. I have the right to be me. You have the right to be you. I will not take away your right to be you, and I'll be boundaried about my right to be me. That's it. Okay. It's not that you're not allowed to take away my right to be me, because if I'm respecting you from love, then I am saying you are allowed to do anything you want. You don't hear that out there when it comes to fear, do you? No. Fear walks around going, you can't do this. You can't do that. Everybody's got the God-given right to do anything they want from the day that they're born. They really do. This is why we've got given the ability to choose. So if I've been given the ability to choose, then there is no human that can come up to me and tell me that I can't choose, but I can. That's not to say that every choice you make doesn't have a consequence. Oh, it does. It really does. It has a consequence spiritually, it has a consequence energetically, and it has a consequence out there in the material world. Yeah. Depending on which country I'm living in or which state in America I'm in, if I go and stab somebody in the head, then I might be on death row. And that will be a consequence if I'm caught, obviously. I'm not condoning any of this. And again, like I said, I've got insurance and also I'm accredited. So, but if I did, that's a consequence. And it's a consequence that it's my choice to then bear. Like I said, if I get caught, depending on what state I'm in or what country I'm in, I might be on death row, or I might just be in prison for 20 years, or I might just get out on parole in 5. I don't know. God knows. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that I am allowed to make the choices that I make. Now, in terms of being boundaried, I would also, respecting the right of the other, respect my right to be me. And that's how you can be boundaried without using control or power and keeping a connection. So all I'll need to say or do is go, no, I'm okay, thanks. I don't want to do that. Or no, I'm all right, thanks. I'd rather not. Or I'm not okay with that. This is how I feel. And this is what I would prefer. How do you feel about that? Again, love would never tell you. Having to tell you what you do or don't have to do. No way. Fear does that. Why? Fear is governed by fear, by ego. Fear, greed, power, desire. Love is not governed by any of that. Love is about freedom. So love will say, you are free to be you, as I am free to be me. So how do I maintain the connection? By telling you. I'm either not okay with it, or I just say, no, you're all right. That's it. Easy peasy. And as long as I'm not pointing a finger, I won't lose that connection. As long as I'm not going, you shouldn't have said that to me. Why? They're allowed to say anything to you. What am I going to do about it? And I don't mean punch them in the face or anything. Again, this is not condoning violence. What I'm saying is I then can respond to that by going, actually, I prefer not to be around you. Thank you very much. My second question, which, as you can see, there's a slide error because it still said question 1. This is what happens when you do it at 1 a.m. in the morning. Question 2, is unconditional love realistic in adult relationships, or is it just a spiritual ideal? I love that. So Sabina, thank you very much for that question. Freaking brilliant. It's not a spiritual ideal at all. And there's this one guy, can't remember his name. I'd say it right now and I'd do it because I don't like him at all. He's got about 3 million freaking followers. I can't remember his name, but he's out there. He's a relationship influencer or something. And he has told everybody on one of his little whatever they are that there is no such thing as unconditional love. There is. I'm sorry, but that's bullshit. And again, I'm coming from a place of experience, of study, of education, of reflection, and working with people. Okay, I don't know how much of that he's done, but hey, that didn't make me feel very good because he's obviously got a lot of influence over people, and there's 3-4 million people listening to him going, oh, okay then. No, unconditional love does exist. Of course it does. And it exists first off in here. And then the way to love unconditionally is not by going, I am self-sacrificing and you can do anything to me and I am a martyr. That's not what unconditional love is. It's not a martyr. Unconditional love is simply this. I will love you without any conditions attached to that love. Okay. However, that doesn't mean there isn't a consequence attached to what you may or may not do. So I could love you unconditionally. And then when you slap me on the face, again, I'm not condoning violence. I know there seems to be a narrative. I am not condoning violence, but I'm just saying, if you slapped me, I'm not just going to be like, well, that's unconditional love and it's okay. It's I love you unconditionally. No, that's not what unconditional love is. There's this bloody myth out there about what everybody thinks unconditional love is. Unconditional love is not that. Unconditional love is me. There's a consequence for that. That's what unconditional love does. It doesn't go, you can't, and it doesn't say, I won't love you if. It says, oi, I love you unconditionally, which means there's nothing attached to me loving you, meaning if you dye your hair yellow, I'm still going to love you. Or if you choose not to go to work today, I'm still going to love you. Or, I don't know, if you choose to spend all your pocket money and then ask me for money 10 minutes later because you've spent it all, I'm still going to love you. However, there's going to be boundaries in there. And if you slap me, I'm not just going to be like, oh, it's okay. I'm going to be like, oh, no. Yeah. And then I'll be like, you do that again, then there will be a consequence. Now, what consequence do I want to lay down? I don't know. But I think about it. Some people might want to like beat them back. I don't know. And some people might be like, actually, I choose not to be around you, you little violent, aggressive, can't control yourself human. I don't know. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. But that doesn't mean it's not unconditional love. Unconditional love is me loving you without any condition attached to that. I will love you if. I will love you when. No. No. Did you know that's not love? That's fear. That's ego. Ego says I deserve. Actually, we don't deserve anything. We don't even deserve the air we breathe. We're really lucky that we get it. And every day, technically, we should be quite grateful because we don't deserve the air we breathe. We don't deserve the ground that we walk on. It's there and tomorrow it might not be. So, hey, it is what it is. We are not deserving or entitled to anything, but what we are is completely appreciative of it, grateful, and then able to utilize it for whatever it is that it's there for. That's the same with relationships, and that's the same with anything else that you've got going on or have a relationship with in your life. And that includes you. Loving yourself unconditionally is so important. If you love yourself, if you're skinny or if you lose weight or if you are successful at that thing or if your boss likes you or if you've got enough money in the bank or if you've got another house or if you've got children that love you or whatever. No, you are not going to have a loving relationship with yourself based on those things happening. That's like a computer software program, isn't it? Coding, this, if that, false, true. No, it's not like that. It's not a software program. It's not true and false. It is what it is. I love you unconditionally, even when you're at your worst, even when everything goes to shit, mind my French, even when you get everything wrong. Actually, I'll love you even more. That's what love would say. So again, a long answer to a question that, well, actually, a question that needed it, I think. Is unconditional love realistic in adult relationships or is it just a spiritual ideal? It is realistic. It is not unrealistic. And actually, we really must all be striving to love unconditionally, first ourselves and then each other. And that doesn't mean you're not boundaried and it doesn't mean you don't say no. Oh, believe me, unconditional love does say no. It really does. So nothing wrong with that at all. But anyway, closing thoughts. Okay, so one of the things that we're really, really looking at here is we're shifting the entire way, okay, that we understand and live in love. It's really important that whatever it is you think love is, I need you to just open up your mind and go, actually, there is a trillion times more things that it is that I want to learn about and understand about love. And I'm going to be sharing all of them with you from the years and years of experience, from the hours, thousands of hours of practice and all of the time that I've spent working on me, because I will not bring anything into this room that I haven't tried and tested myself. I promise you that much. So, you know, this is all coming from a place of falling flat on my face in many occasions and then getting up and going, right. Some of you that know me know that I've made some huge transitions in my life quite recently. And again, they were driven by the energy of love. If I had used fear, I would not have made those transitions. And that's the truth. And it's been really tough. but here I am and I'm doing it. And that's why I really want to share it as well, because it's like, look, I live and breathe this stuff. I promise you, it's only ever gotten me to the most beautiful places. And that doesn't mean that it's not going to hurt. It doesn't mean you're not going to go through lots of stuff and purging and, oh my God, crying and wailing and hurting. No, but that's okay. That's okay, because that's what it's about. It's about feeling it, and then it's about giving it love. I'm going to deep dive a lot more into all of this as we go on. Thank you, everybody. I'm just going to see if I can see you for a minute as well. So I'm just going to try and come off this and then just say bye to everybody in a minute to go back onto Zoom. But thank you. Don't forget, guys, book onto your next one, because it is starting to get booked up quite quickly. And that's a good thing, obviously. You will have access to all of these recordings on my YouTube, and I will send you guys the link to that. I'll be doing little newsletters. I'll be reminding you and, bombarding you a little bit with just things that I've been doing. And also, if you'd like to share your stories, I'll be asking you, please send in any questions that you've got, and I'll make sure that I get them answered, okay, in these talks. I'm also learning. I've never done this kind of thing before, so please do bear with me. I want to make these talks engaging, want to make them, fun and whatnot. So if you've got any suggestions, honestly, please let me know. If there's anything you want me to add, please let me know. If there's anything you don't want me to say, tough, because I'm going to say it anyway. Has anybody got anything they'd like to share? Is anybody got a question that they'd like to ask now?
Yeah. To me,
Marcella.
the interesting takeaway point today is the concept of there is a difference between unconditional and unconsequential love. Unconditional, I love you without conditions. Unconsequential, I love you, but there's consequence. Point well taken.
Yes, always a consequence. Always, always, always. And remember, guys, that's action and reaction. That's cause and effect. This is the law of the energy and the world that we live in. It's cause and effect. So it's really important when we talk about unconditional love, when we talk about love, it does not mean that you are not boundary. This is like this myth that everybody walks around going, oh, it's not about you. You are not a martyr. Actually, when you're loving yourself unconditionally, you will never martyr yourself off. Ever. Actually, what you'll do is you'll go, I need to make sure I'm okay first, thanks. That's what you'll do when you're using love. It's fear that goes, I mustn't think of me. I must think of them. And if you're a parent, then this is even more important. It's even more important because parents are the ones that neglect themselves the most. And you guys walk around self-sacrificing yourself off and just going, oh my God, I've got to martyr my entire existence. What are you, but what are your children learning when they martyr themselves off? They're learning that's what they've got to do. No, not at all. Not at all. It's really important that you're boundary with your kids. It's really important you get comfortable saying no to your children. It's really important that you're not guilt-driven when it comes to your children, what it is that they want or don't want or whatever it is. That is not. Guilt is fear-based. Guilt is not. Guilt is not love. Love never feels guilty. Love might turn around and go, ooh. And love might go, ouch. And love might turn around and go, bloody hell, I'm not doing that again. But that's not guilt. That's love going, oh, I don't want to do that again. I didn't like it. Or they might, love will go, oh, I'm sorry about that. That was not very nice. And love will want to share. Fear doesn't. Fear does what, I don't know, law does, which is, fear is, I won't accept liability just in case. That's what fear does. That's what the ego does. It goes, I don't want to accept liability just in case you come at me and go, oh, that was all your fault. Do you know what love does? Love goes, yeah, sorry about that. Tumbleweed, you see? Lovely, isn't it? Yeah. What you said really hurt me. Sorry about that. Love doesn't justify. Did you know that? Love never, ever, ever justifies itself. It may happily share with you the awareness and the reflections and the story or the processes behind what did or didn't happen. But love will never justify, because the energy behind justification is to go, I'm not bad because, but you're not bad, full stop. And if you are bad, well, then admit it and go, oh yeah, I'm bad because. Don't justify. And that's what happens is if you're not going to face yourself, you'll justify. So when you notice yourself justifying, stop and go, that's not the energy of love. That's the energy of fear. If I'm continuing to feel that, then I just need to just look at what it is I'm trying to avoid in me and try not to face in me. And again, parents, I notice this a lot when you've got children, is this thing where you guys either go from guilt or complete like defensive. And it's like, but none of them are needed. You don't need to feel guilty and you don't need to feel bad, but you definitely don't need to be defensive either. You just need to be in a really, really comfortable spot. Yeah, where you are going, yeah, all right, I'm a human. You might be a parent, you might be a mother, you might be a father, but you're human. And you're going to fuck up. And that's okay, it's okay. And you guys have got to get comfortable telling your children that. Because right now, what they're doing, they're holding you hostage to this kind of stuff right now. You've got generations that are like, you hurt my feelings, it's all over. You didn't look at me when I spoke to you, and that was really out of order. And now I need to go and speak to a therapist because, like, I am traumatized. What are you on about? No, no. Because again, you're being held hostage actually to this like non-accountability or this thing that you need to be. You don't need to be perfect. You're a parent, you don't need to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. Actually, it's really good for your children to see that you make mistakes, that you get things wrong, and that you're really okay with it. They need to see that, and that they cannot hold you hostage and go, well, you obviously don't love me, mother. You've obviously really fucked up because, you didn't say the right thing to me when I felt really bad. And now I don't ever want to speak to you ever again. I'd be like, oh, all right then. Such a shame. I mean, to be honest, I'll have a bit of peace and quiet really for 5 minutes, won't I? Thank you very much. Doing me a favour. Because that's kind of where you want to go with that.